Welcome to the One Speed MMA podcast, take 3, with your host, Flying Smitty, Justin Smith, and...
This is my second take, Karson Wood.
Yeah, it was my third take. I haven't done very well as of today. I think it's the new setup, the new ambiance. I've got to get into it.
Having to look at Ben Rothwell for 25 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Throw anybody off.
I just love, my favorite was Front Row Brian on Twitter being like, I don't know why we need to score rounds. This isn't going 25 minutes. And he was 100% incorrect.
Yeah, but we didn't want it to go 20. It was a good fight.
So how'd you score it?
4-1 for Junior.
I also scored a 4-1, which is interesting because a lot of the people on Twitter were scoring it that Junior Dos Anjos won all 5 rounds. I think that Ben Rothwell easily took the first round. He seemed to have landed more, pressed the pace more, as well as dominated the center of the octagon, which I think is a pretty big deal. And so, I give it to Big Ben the first round, and then Santos just tired him out. Just straight up tired him out.
Which I didn't realize until you reading it off of Twitter, like that might have actually been his strategy. I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah.
Get out of his way a lot in the first round. Use the octagon space. Make it look like you're scared of it. Because he didn't really throw too many punches in the first round.
And yeah, no, that's exactly right. Junior Dos Santos. Well, and it was interesting because I don't know what poked him in the eye in the first round, but he seemed very put off at the very beginning, looking for what looked like a ref stoppage, and the ref wouldn't stop it. And so Ben Rothwell actually had a little bit of time to capitalize that, which was a really good time for him to capitalize. But at the same time, it was done after that. I mean, there wasn't much more he could do. And so, I mean, not necessarily the most exciting of fight. I don't think any of us expected it to be fireworks. I mean, Ben Rothwell has done really well in his last couple fights, and there have been fireworks, with either a submission or, whatever else it might have been, or a knockout of like Brendan Schaub and some of those other guys. But anytime Rothwell goes in, I don't necessarily expect the most exciting fight. And Junior Dos Santos, it's either 5 rounds or he gets knocked out. So
whoever coined the term zombie guard wins the MMA journalist or whatever of Zagreb. That is exactly what Ben uses, just the arms. Yeah.
If you want to see some pretty funny things, just go read the Twitter feed as the UFC Zagreb was going on. I mean, you guys are pretty clever, Twitter. Good on you. You do some pretty funny things. So yeah,
especially at Ben Rothwell's expense.
The best part of all of it was the undercard by far,
which I didn't get to see because I stayed up too late playing FIFA last night and didn't realize it started so early.
Hey, it's all right. So some of the best ones out there, and I'm going to slaughter some names. One of the most irritating ones that I watched was actually the Perez and Ian Entwistle fight. Entwistle, which is a very accurate name because he gets everyone in knee bars. He's like the English Rafael Paul Harris. And he actually accused Perez of greasing and was trying to get the fight. He actually made the referee stop and feel the guy's leg to make sure that he wasn't greasing.
What'd the ref say?
He told him first, he said, he's not greasing, everything feels fine. And then he told him to cut the bullshit. So what ended up happening is after he couldn't get him in the leg lock, he got in this weird position, right? So you have someone's leg, but you're still kind of wrapped up together. Mm-hmm. So Perez was just hammer fisting him, and Ian wouldn't give it up, and he wouldn't get up. And so finally, he actually verbally tapped to strikes. Because he couldn't, I mean, he's a one-trick pony. Like, if there's anyone during this card that really irritated me, it was definitely him.
It's a shame that he won't be in the post-fight, because I would really like to see what he had to say about it.
He'll probably do some kind of interview, and he'll say, he was greasing. Apparently the guy, shaved his legs, and I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't lotion up a little bit. I mean, it depends on how much of the grease, but he was slipping out pretty easy, but it also looked like he knew what he was getting himself into. And Perez won the Ultimate Fighter, I believe, the Cain Velasquez Verdum year. Mm-hmm. And so he knows what he's doing. He's a good fighter. Obviously, that dude had 4 stops within 4 minutes, all leg locks. So it's like Cody McKenzie. As soon as you get down how to get out of the McGinzatine, you don't have to worry about it anymore. And that guy was so irritated within the first 45 seconds that he made the referee remove his glove and actually bare hand feel that guy's leg, and then come back and say he wasn't greasing. And he kept yelling, he's greasing. And that's when he actually said, cut the bullshit, which is awesome for that ref to be like, you know what?
Was that the same guy that was like trying to get the Ngannou and Curtis Blades fight to continue? Was it the same guy where the ref was like...
No, it wasn't.
His eye, he can't see. And he's like, he could see. He just said it. He was like, the ref wanted the fight to continue.
Yeah, no, this was the main card judge, the big bald guy.
Okay.
So he's the one that did Rafael dos Anjos and or JDS and Rothwell. Other super good fights that were on there. Marbek Taismov, who looks like he is he looks like he's Amish. Like he's got the big beard and the flat head and looks like he should be wearing a hat. Like he looks like a Russian Abraham Lincoln. Like that's the best way I can put it.
Who needs emancipating in Russia?
That's exactly right. And he first round knockout. He looked really, really good. If I just short exchanges and then he just caught him with an uppercut. And then Jared Cannonier, and his name is, I believe, the Black Gorilla or the Big Gorilla.
Wait, who?
Jared Cannonier.
Okay.
And I don't know why his nickname is not Jared the Cannon Cannonier. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Maybe he doesn't have a cannon. Maybe he didn't feel he didn't feel good by his conscience to put that.
Imagine if Derrick Lewis had a little brother. That would be him. He looked a lot like Derrick Lewis. He was he's at heavyweight, but he's going to drop down to light heavyweight, which I think is a bad idea. But like you were saying, he's a small heavyweight. And then knocked him straight out. One of the most annoying things about this fight, though, that really irritated me, well, not the fight. The fight was awesome. He did really well. Aster, the guy that he fought against, was a pretty good boxer until he got caught. But what ended up happening is he had a little thing that said Jehovah in Hebrew, and he was just like, thank you, God, for, helping me. I prayed for this. This is what I saw happening, or whatever it was. And then I read on Twitter, some guy was like, don't thank some invisible person. Thank yourself. You won this fight. And it's like, okay, dude. Like, yeah, you have your opinion, and that guy's open to his own opinion, and you can say and do whatever you want. But, like, really, you have to take to Twitter after that guy wins a fight and tell him after he thinks, whatever he believes in, flying spaghetti monster for any of you atheist readers out there, listeners out there.
Purple flying spaghetti monster.
Yeah, man, just let him do his thing. Just let him, whatever. I mean, if you're John Jones and you're like, God did this for a reason, and then you're still doing stupid stuff, it's like, no, those are your choices. God's probably trying to stop you. But anyway, moving on from that, it was actually a really impressive card. The main card wasn't that good. I'm not gonna lie.
It's all right.
What'd you think?
I liked it. I mean, I've my opinion on heavyweights is long been published and publicized by the podcast.
I don't think it's been published. I think it's been recorded.
I've published it. And then I put it in pamphlets and gave it to people. Anyways, I liked it.
The 25 round gasser, an autobiography of Carson Wood.
And that's all I could write to was 25 minutes of a book. It doesn't go very long. I'm not a writer, but
you gas out.
No, as far as a heavyweight bout going 5 rounds, you couldn't ask for much more between Ben Rothwell and Junior Dos Santos. You'd probably get a little bit more action if it was a 25 rounder, Junior Dos Santos versus Cain Velasquez. I just
25 rounds.
25 minutes, excuse me. Yeah, they could go 25 rounds. 25 1-minute rounds. No, I think that's about as good as it can get, and I don't think we could ask for more. It was action packed through the whole fight. Gabriel Gonzaga, I thought he was. I mean, that was shaping up to be an atypical heavyweight match. They got in one round had to get separated 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, he was definitely trying to dirty box him against the cage.
It wasn't even boxing. He didn't even box him.
Okay, just hold him against the cage. I was trying to give him a little bit more credit, but yeah, you're right.
He was doing the GSP thing where he just leaned on him up against the cage, I think trying to get his arms full of blood and try it like from pushing him off. But then Derrick Lewis threw good combo.
Mm-hmm.
He threw a good combo, and it was
really the first combo that he was able to throw.
Yeah, and he punched him pretty much falling too, and then he was gonna make sure that there was no doubt that Gabriel Gonzaga was out. He jumped on it.
One of my favorites was actually his right hand. So Gabriel Gonzaga falls back against the fence. He puts his hands up, but there's still that gap. And Derrick Lewis just punches as hard as he can, throwing his entire body in his right hand, thinking like, if I can get in between his hands, it'll separate and hit him in the face. And he did. And then that caught him. And then as he was going down, he threw a right uppercut against the fence, and that he was done. And he still got, for how big he was, he still got one more hit in. He uppercutted him as he was falling. He hit him again. Like, obviously brushed off, but nonetheless, like, that big of a guy throwing that many punches that quickly is impressive.
It was, yeah. I haven't seen any of his other fights in all honesty, but I'll watch another one from him. Like, I would like to see Ngannou and Timothy Johnson. No, that's not
the guy with the mustache.
Derrick Lewis, excuse me. Jeez. I'd be into seeing that fight.
I think it's time that some of these guys that have been around the heavyweight division for a while and fighting kind of people in and out. Gabriel Gonzaga is a big name, but Gabriel Gonzaga was supposed to fight somebody else, and Derrick Lewis stepped in on short notice. Apparently, he didn't know he was going to have to fly out to Croatia, and he was like, "Oh, I'm actually scared of planes." Oh, that big of a dude who fights people, and like,
well, you think about it, he falls out. His critical mass is a lot.
He'd fall faster and die faster.
Mm-hmm.
So he wouldn't have to worry as much as everybody
else. So he
has
more of a right to be afraid of planes than you do.
I guess that's true.
Ass.
I'm afraid of him, and I fly on planes all of the time.
The reason I fly on planes is because of him. I know that I'm in the air. I'm away from him.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
No, he looked good. Like, all honesty, like, Gabriel Gonzaga came in with a game plan, obviously, and he just didn't implement it enough, I don't think. I think if he would have done more when he had him up against the cage, he probably would have lasted a little bit longer instead of the referee separating him. Because once the referee separated him, like the first little bit that he started striking, like Gabriel went to sleep.
It was really about the first striking opportunity that he had.
Then he started calling for the belt on the cage. Maybe a
Why
little.
Not? Why not? Well, he's not top 15. Give him at least a top 15 opponent. Give him Stefan Struve. He'll knock out Stefan Struve at 15.
If Stefan Struve doesn't get cut in the meantime.
Yeah, who knows?
Who would you honestly like to see Derrick Lewis fight? Because they're not going to put him and Ngannou against each other because they want to build them up, obviously, I think at this point. Maybe not. Maybe they don't want to build Derrick Lewis up. But
let me actually load up this top 10 heavyweights. It'll load the top 15, which is awesome. But let me actually take a look because I don't want him to fight, JDS or Cain Velasquez or Alistair Overeem.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Ben Rothwell. I think Rothwell beats him just because I think his game plan would be better planned out.
He moves a lot too. That's the one thing I liked about Ben Rothwell.
Oh no, he called out Roy Nelson.
Oh, gall.
So he called for the belt, and then he eventually called out Roy Nelson, and I think that's what they were actually going to set up. Did Roy Nelson? No, Roy Nelson didn't pull out of this fight. I can't remember who pulled out of this fight, but nonetheless, I think Roy Nelson and Derrick Lewis were actually on a collision course to fight, and then it ended up separating. The thing that I don't understand is how Frank Mir's number 10 and Roy Nelson's number 11. Did they fight, and Frank Mir won?
I just don't see where Frank Mir beats Roy Nelson. Unless it goes to decision, I guess.
Did they actually fight, though?
I would like to see Ruslan Magomedov against Derrick Lewis. I'll be into that. I likes that.
He seems to be beating a lot of Russian fighters.
I just feel like Roy Nelson, like him fighting Roy Nelson, I think if they go past the first, more than like pretty much any other fight at this point, that's going to be a boring fight.
You don't knock out Roy Nelson. You don't.
So
it would have to go. It would have to go to decision, and Roy Nelson might be able to outlast him.
So is that a fight you want to see?
No, but look at the heavyweights: Roy Nelson, Frank Mir, Josh Barnett, Mark Hunt, Travis Brown, Andrei Arlovski, Junior Dos Santos, Ben Rothwell, Alistair Overeem, Steven Miocic, and Cain Velasquez, and then Fabricio Verdum. I would like to see him actually fight anyone within the top 10.
Josh Barnett.
I think that would be a cool fight, and I think he could beat Barnett. No. Travis Brown. Sorry, when you said Barnett, I was looking at Travis Brown's name.
Do you want to see him fight Brown?
I would like to see him fight Brown. I think that's a steep step up in competition, but because Brown is just a boxer and a striker, and Matt Mitrione looked good against him, I think Derrick Lewis would have a pretty good chance.
So are you wanting him to be a title contender?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, why not? I mean, he's got a good personality. He's got a good story where he came from the streets, and his poor trainer just died that helped him kind of get off the streets and get in training. And apparently he does that now where they're at. They open the gym, and he goes out and speaks to lower income, communities and different things like that to try and tell them that they don't have to live that lifestyle. So, I mean, if he's a rags to riches type story, put him in the spotlight.
That's fair.
Why not?
That's fair. He doesn't have better striking than Stipe or Overeem.
But if
Verdum and Velasquez are going to destroy him.
But if he connects, you're done.
That's anybody though in that division, except again, like you said, unless they're going up against Roy Nelson, and usually Mark Hunt, unless he's getting spinning back heeled.
So Rothwell's number 4 right now. How far do you think he falls?
Not deep. I don't think he drops deep.
It's weird to me that he beat Alistair Overeem, and Overeem's at number 3 and Rothwell's at number 4. Not that it matters, but it just is a very political thing. The other one, I'm going to pronounce his name incorrectly. Blades Ngannou fight. What do you think about that?
I've been saying Ngannou, but
Ngannou. You're right. No, that is
it?
Ngannou.
I have no idea, honestly.
It is Ngannou. You're right. What did you think about the stoppage?
Yeah, that was 100% correct. That stoppage was correct. He couldn't see. Like I could see him not seeing.
When he's trying to Helen Keller the ref's hand.
How many fingers? Let me.
1.
That feels like 3.
Yeah.
That feels like 3. But how many can you see?
And I agree with the ref. The ref being like, he says he's fine. There's 2 people that should have stopped that fight. The corner, and they weren't going to because it was his first fight in the UFC. There's no way they were going to stop it. And that doctor. And the fact that doctor...
And the ref.
Number 3.
It's his job to protect the fighters. That is his primary function. It's to protect the fighters. That's first and foremost.
Solid point. You got me on that one.
And I think it was actually Herb Dean that says a lot of the time, or maybe it was Big John in one of his Twitter questions, it's his job to even protect them from themselves because these guys they're gonna keep fighting.
That ref was gonna let him fight, and that stand-up doctor for being like, no, he's done. Like he can't see what's going on. And as a fighter and as a corner, I would have allowed him to keep fighting, even if it would have gone to decision, which it probably would. I wouldn't want to see him knocked out, but at the same time, that's might be your only fight in the UFC. However, he got thrown to the wolves pretty quick. How do you pronounce it again? Ngannou.
I said.
I keep saying it wrong. Ngannou is steep competition. A lot of people think he's going to be a next contender.
He looked good.
He looks like Czech Congo's cousin.
Mm-hmm. Just cut up.
Yeah.
Cut up.
Let's hope he passes his USADA stuff. Some people are just built like that, and so you never know, especially at that size, with that much actual muscle mass.
He went to the ground a few more times. The one thing that I watched some of his fights through over the week, and I was really impressed by his balance and his base. He kind of reminiscent of JDS. He can keep the fight where on the feet. As far as we've seen so far, but he actually did get taken down a few times today. He didn't seem to have too much of a problem of getting right back up, though. But I think higher level wrestlers, I think they keep him down.
Blades isn't a bad wrestler. Most of his fights have gone to the ground. So the fact that
is he good a grappler as Verdum?
No,
as good of a wrestler as Cain Velasquez?
No, absolutely not. But Ngannou. Most of his fight, I only saw one fight where he was taken to the ground and kept on the ground. The rest of them, he seemed to get up, and he got up really, really well today. He did play counter because he was worried about those takedowns, obviously. I would like to have seen him let his hands go a little bit more. But once again, he doesn't want to lose to someone making their UFC debut either. So, I mean, I don't blame him necessarily, but he didn't make a huge splash like everyone kind of expected. And that's kind of what I've learned. When there's so much hype behind 2 guys that are kind of newer, usually you don't see the fight that you think you're going to see because both of them play it safe and fight to win rather than not to lose. And, it was a good fight, but I definitely would have liked to see a little bit more action between the 2.
I mean, overall, though, I liked it. I mean, again, it was, as far as heavyweights go, the thing that I've kind of noticed, like looking over it, all the shit that I've talked on heavyweights, the main thing is how quickly they gas. But most of these fighters now, like, I'm okay with seeing them go deep. Cain Velasquez, Verdum, Stipe, Overeem, Ben Rothwell, he kind of gassed. Junior Dos Santos looked good for 5 rounds. Arlovsky, Brown, Hunt can't go 5. Barnett can't go 5. Mir kind of tapers off. So the top 5, though, 5 or 6, 7, they actually can go pretty deep. But this fight in particular, I thought could have won a 3rd round and it would have been fine because they had kind of conserved their energy. It was unfortunate stoppage, but it was necessary.
Oh, no, they would have been fine going to 3rd round. Blades looked like he was getting a little bit tired, but if he would have been able to get it. If Ngannou would have been tired by the 3rd round, and I think he was kind of conserving his energy, I think Blades could have taken him down and laid on him and won. At least, I mean, if he would have got a 10-8, it would have been a draw. So you never know. 10-8 when he just sits on top the entire time. But yeah, I mean, that was this card. We just got done watching it. It was actually a really good card. The undercard was really, really good. When it hits Fight Pass, if you guys can go watch the Fight Pass prelims and the FS1 prelims, if you didn't see them, I would highly recommend actually going back and watching these fights. Most of them ended in the 1st round, and most of them ended by actual crisp strikes or submissions. And so it was a super good card to watch. A lot of times when we actually break down fights, we're like, well, a lot of these people just watched them. Why did we just break them down? But this card was actually good enough to talk about, especially the up-and-comers and different things like that. It was a really good card.
One other thing I wanted to touch on before we move on, because I think this card in particular was to highlight the heavyweights. Does it move the heavyweight picture at all? I mean, the biggest one is
Ben Rothwell
I think
dropping.
Essentially Ben Rothwell moves to Junior Dos Santos' spot. Maybe he goes down to Travis Brown, but I don't think he drops too much.
I think Rothwell beats Arlovsky and beats Brown. I don't think he beats Hunt because I don't think he takes Hunt down. I think he didn't beat Hunt. Yeah, he lost to Mark Hunt. He lost to Mark Hunt right before Brendan Schaub.
And so he already beat Barnett.
And they went to decision.
Did
he already beat Barnett? He didn't fight Mir. You're going to have to go Sure. It might not show him. Does it show him?
Yeah, it does.
I was going to say you might have to go Sure Dog. Good old Sure Dog. Thank you guys for collecting all of that information. I'm guessing the fighters just go put in their own information other than the big ones. But man, is that a great source. And we're not getting sponsored by them yet. Sure Dog, if you want to sponsor us, let us know.
Didn't the guy that started Sure Dog, didn't he just leave?
Sure Doggy? Yeah, I think he did. You know who hates Sure Dog? Dana White.
Why?
I don't know. I think he blames them for reporting things too early. I think that's his thing.
That's stupid.
I didn't tell Sure Dog this. They just decided to come out with it.
He beat Josh Barnett, Matt Mitrione. He beat Alistair Overeem. He beat Brandon Very, lost to
Gabriel Gonzaga. That's the one I was giving him a hard time for.
And
he beat Brendan Schaub, and then
he lost to Mark Hunt.
Yep, decision because you're not knocking
Gabriel Yvel, and then he lost to Cain Velasquez.
Gilbert Yvel's he's retired. I think right after that fight actually. And as we discussed,
it was 6 years ago.
Yeah. News, talking current events real quick. Frank Mir just pinged for something. I don't know what it is. If you know what it is, hit us up on Twitter at OneSpeedMMA and be like, hey, this is what he pinged Hop for. What do you think about that? I mean, you heard that he actually came out and was like, hey, let's wait till everything happens before you start saying things or cast judgment. But, I mean, what are your thoughts on all that?
I don't know why it really gets reported on or how it gets leaked anyways before they test the second sample. I don't think that anything, because automatically...
You saw it as bad as TMZ?
Yeah, man. Like,
we'll just release it immediately.
Once somebody pings for something, just check the other one before you release anything, because automatically that person has that reputation regardless. Yeah. Like, that is like one stain that just doesn't come out. Like, once you get, oh no, they got pinged, and it doesn't even have to be steroids.
Look at Yoel Romero.
It could be like a substance, like a masking substance.
Cocaine.
Maybe you just didn't even. No, people know cocaine's different. I'm talking about like performance enhancing and things related to covering up performance enhancing. Once you get pinged for one of those, like Yoel Romero, even though he won his appeal, forever it's going to be we'll see if he pees hot. Like, and I guess that's everybody to a certain point, but I think he deserves. And maybe I'm misunderstanding the situation, and maybe they do the second sample before they release it, but I just don't understand why they release it after the first check.
And Yeah, no, and I'd like to. Maybe that's something we should look into is why that's released so quickly. And I mean, maybe it's public knowledge. Maybe it's somebody that. I mean, when they all come out clean, they post that, and I don't even know who releases that information. Is that the UFC? Usually, I just see it on like MMA Junkie or something like that says all people who come out, all fighters at such and such have come out clean. Maybe they send out a mass email. Maybe it's like part of the press release list. It's like all fighters came back clean. But
he's not on an all fighters list because this was out of competition, right?
No, I think this was after his last fight. Because he fought what? 3 weeks ago? Yeah, 4 weeks ago? So I don't think out of competition is a little bit different. However, like we were talking about during the fights, great times to have conversation about other fights is during watching fights. But he was one of the proponents of TRT. During the Chael Sonnen, Dan Henderson, Randy Couture TRT days when it was actually being prescribed to them by doctors, they were all open about using about having a supplement.
You mean?
Yeah, but nurses, basically anyone that could write a prescription. Interestingly enough, funny story. Kid we went to high school with started personal training, and he actually met a doctor who he would send all the people he was personal training to get prescribed TRT and HGH. And he would always send them to the same doctor, and he would say, just like in Bigger, Faster, Stronger, he would be like, oh, yep, your levels are off, so you need to use this TRT. And so he would send them the TRT. They'd send it in the mail. And I mean, we're talking like senators. I mean, obviously people that don't matter, they're not competing. And a lot of them were old enough that some kind of testosterone treatment probably would have helped. But it's interesting that even going to a personal trainer will get you something. But
I mean, steroids it's in contact and collision sports is obviously wrong. But if somebody's doing it just for own personal reasons or even business. Recreational bodybuilding, just because it's something I can't tell you how I could not care less if somebody's doing it.
I agree.
And obviously the actual therapy for it is a real thing.
The other thing that is surprising why he pinged to me is Frank Mir, who's one of my maybe not all-time favorite fighters, but a fighter I really respect for what he did for the sport and coming back.
He's by far your favorite named Frank.
Yeah.
No, he's my favorite Frank Edgar, never mind.
He's my favorite Frank. I really like him. He always seems like a really nice guy. He seems like he interacts with the fans and all of that stuff. So I hope whatever happens, whether he's cleared or whether he's not, if he's not cleared and he pings, he should probably retire.
He's going to. He already said that.
Oh, he already said he was going to retire?
No, that's what he said. He said, please wait because, I mean, just so that you're aware, like if I get banned for 2 years, I'm done.
Yep.
Did you see, speaking of the Yoel Romero thing, did you see what that interview that I posted on Twitter with Dominic Cruz?
And Yoel Romero?
Well, it's pretty much brought up about the Yoel Romero thing. And then he was talking about how there needs to be a change. Either if the FDA comes out and says that this is an approved substance, like this formula is approved, they should be able to use it. They shouldn't be responsible to have to know every ingredient. They should be able to go off a label.
Yeah.
And say, well, then what stops them from like mixing in shit into like a mix?
Well,
I'm wondering
that's what happened with Yoel Romero.
I know though, but like
everything was on the label, wasn't there, and then he had the substance and it was tainted, and he gave them that same substance and it was tainted.
Yeah, but what if I just dump shit in there of my own and be like,
Well, and
they put this in here. I don't know know how it got there.
Well, and the other thing, conspiracy theory, is what happens if what happens if this company's doing it intentionally? And they say, cool, we'll put this in your pill. We won't have it there. And if you get caught for it, just don't sue us. You know what I mean? Because that's still good business for them.
So is it just pretty much in pill form? Like, because
I think it's a label.
Because, I mean, you could open up anything if it was a powder.
No.
And just dump anything in there.
And I don't know. You think it would be in pill form or in liquid form. Okay? And yeah, you could still mix whatever you wanted. But most things come in like an actual pill form, which would be hard to like recrush and repress and then put back into a bottle. Speaking of Dominic Cruz, though, who will be fighting Uriah Faber, how about their conversation when Uriah Faber said that he'd beat TJ Dillashaw for 8 years and now he looks like a prepubescent boy that now that USADA has kicked in?
What about it?
You think he sold him out?
No.
You don't think the way that I do, where it basically was saying that he was using steroids almost the entire time he was at Alpha Male?
No. I think Dominic Cruz played it perfectly. He was just like, what does that mean? You didn't see him? And he didn't answer the question. I think it's a stupid move on his part to even bring it up.
Absolutely.
I think he was just talking, and he was trying to make a case for why he should be competing for the title, and he said something stupid, and then Dominic Cruz caught him because he's clever.
Yeah. One of the things I actually did like about what Uriah Faber said, and I do think that Dominic Cruz is most likely going to win this second fight like he did the first fight, is that they really haven't fought the same people. Uriah Faber has basically been the number 2 to stop anyone else from getting to Dominic Cruz, other than Renan Barao. Anyone that beats Uriah Faber deserves a title shot, but it was very interesting that he was like, I fought top 6 guys and you've never fought any of them. And so, I mean, the other super interesting thing is about Uriah Faber is how clean of an act he pulls when he's on TV, like he doesn't swear and stuff. And then the more we hear about him, the more he's not supposed to be that clean cut in real life.
Well, I mean, on TV, I mean, that's
how I would be. I swear more in real life, but if I was on TV, I'd probably be exactly like him.
And that's exactly right. Like I don't think he's trying to like do a John Jones thing and portray himself in a different way. You know, I think we obviously know what he said to certain people that wasn't recorded.
Yeah.
But no, but we don't. I don't think he's trying to say, oh, well, I don't do that. I just think it's like, did you see the ESPN one where Rockhold said shit, and it was live ESPN television, and the lady got after him? Good for her. She like stood her ground and said, hey, remember, this is she like looked at him and was like,
oh, is that what he said? I didn't hear him say shit.
It was like
they
shit or
must have
pussy or
blocked
something like that. And she pretty much like told him on live TV, like,
hey, you can't do that.
Yeah, hey, we're live. You can't do that. This is ESPN. We got standards.
And then she stopped him twice, right? She was like, oh, I see you guys getting heated. I know I've been in TV long enough to know where this is going. Mm-hmm. So let's just steer away from this conversation.
I thought that it was interesting that since Unstoppable, a lot of people have been giving the UFC flag for everybody trying to be Conor, except for
Conor
McGregor.
Yeah. Except for giving Conor flack.
Well, no,
sorry. No, I should have let you finish your thought before I jump in.
I might have worded that weird. Is what I meant to say is they've been giving everybody crap for trying to talk like Conor, and ever since Unstoppable. But most of these people legitimately hate each other, and this is before Conor came on. The only one that's kind of trumped up is, I think, Rockhold Weidman, but I don't think it really is.
I think it's not anymore. I think it might have been at first where it was kind of chumped up. And now I really don't think that they like each other.
Claudia and Joanna hate each other.
And they've already fought. So, I mean, it gives you a reason to hate it. Most of the people that have already fought once have a real reason to hate each other.
Mm-hmm. Bones and Cormier. They really hate really hate each other. And like Luke and Rockhold and Weidman, I think they now don't really like each other either. And obviously the longest rivalry in MMA, Cruz and Faber.
Yeah.
I mean, the nice thing is, though, I mean, they still play nice. Like, they could both be in the same studio and have a conversation. They don't like it, but I think it makes for good TV because they both speak well. That's the one thing that I like, is that there at least is sparring between those two, where normally with Conor, there's not. It's just him coming at him and them having to react, but they're always behind the 8 ball on it. They can never do it.
I love Dominic because he points it out. Uriah says the same 5 things every interview. I know exactly what he's going to say. There's nothing he can say that's going to get me riled up enough to fight him for something other than money. He says the same 5 things. And
so does Cruz, though.
No, I know. Well, because he just reflects off the same 5. It seems like Uriah Faber actually has to prod Cruz a little bit for Cruz to get involved in the actual shit talk.
No.
I think so a little bit.
Cruz will talk. And then he'll play like he did on that last one where they were at they were on the cruise show. Yeah, they were on the cruise show.
Yeah.
And he was like,
he got him a cruise jacket and all of these.
That was the most biased interview. Like, they were obviously on Cruz's side.
And Uriah Faber was trying his best. oh, your mom made these? Your mom's awesome. Is she married? Like, he was being a sweetheart to everyone, man, and they were super biased. That's funny.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen people for Cruz ever since the last fight where I told everybody that he was going to win and nobody believed me. Nobody's ever liked him, and all of a sudden with his return after 4 years off, it seems like everybody likes him now.
No, yeah, it's definitely interesting. I've got no problem with him other than this weird back tat. Yeah, I forgot that he had it because I hadn't seen him with his shirt off for almost 4 years.
That had to be like a 17. Get it like right at 17, like right before your graduation, right?
Your dad took you until you could get one tattoo, and so he got the biggest one that he could.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It's definitely interesting, but I'm also the guy that wanted the tattoo just like Ben Henderson with 2 big old wings on my back, and then I realized that I didn't want that. Probably, there's several tattoos that I thought that I would get until I saw them on UFC fighters, and I was like, that doesn't like the nautical stars that Jamie Varner has, and I'm like, no, I probably wouldn't do that.
Luckily for the UFC, since they don't have shirts on, it is like going to a tattoo parlor and getting a wall of tattoos that you can decide whether, like, somebody needs to get the six shooters in their. They need to get them. No, not you.
Well, there's several people.
They need to get them for you so that you can see them if you like them beforehand.
I actually knew a kid in high school that had them. Mike McLaughlin. I think he ran the same way. Yeah, I did actually.
Yeah, we can get those. You can get those ones then.
I'm not a big tattoo guy. I probably won't ever get one. I mean, I like to see them. My wife has tattoos. But I probably won't ever get tattoos.
Do it.
Nah.
Get a dog instead.
I'm getting a dog.
Little Tank Abbott.
A little preview for you guys. We're getting a pet sponsor. Not even a pet sponsor. A pet mascot.
Little Tank Abbott.
Because Rod doesn't count.
Sorry if I was. You should probably be able to say. You say the name first. No, go ahead. You go ahead. You go ahead and say it.
It's actually Abbott.
Tank Abbott.
But it's named after Tank Abbott because he was the biggest in his litter. And so he's now Tank Abbott. Or Abbott Tank. Tank Abbott Smith is what my wife calls him. Apparently he has our last name.
When he's in trouble?
Yeah.
Tank Abbott Smith!
Tank Abbott, you come here right now. You peed right on the floor.
That's going to be said a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it will. Frank Mir, there's not a whole ton of things going on in MMA right now. Obviously, John Jones.
Are you kidding me?
Okay,
there's cards like every week for the next month.
Well, I mean, like big, like, whoa, news. This is crazy. How about, can we get into one thing before we get into the card?
Nurmagomedov.
Can we get into Uriah Faber, other than fighting, being the world's best wingman?
Yeah, he was.
Uriah Faber, what was it, the Today Show or something? You sent me this clip.
Good, I don't know what it was.
Break it down for me.
So he if you didn't see it, it was they were on the show and they had a mat that laid out, and it was Rockhold and Faber showing how to do a guillotine or a guillotine, and they were going to have both of the hosts also practice it on them. They're like, there was a girl and there was a guy, and then Uriah goes, we're going to flip a coin for her, and then once they show how to do it, how to do the maneuver, he brings her in to actually go up against Rockhold, and just she put him in the guillotine and then held him on for a longer time. She essentially Paul Harris Luke Rockhold.
She held him a couple of seconds after he tapped. Yeah,
she should lose her job.
She will never fight in the UFC ever.
No. She is, and
she was a pretty girl.
She was. Yeah, she was very cute.
And Uriah Faber actually, he would have been the one, and he actually pulled in Rockhold to do it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's got a girlfriend or something, and he didn't want to look bad. Not like look bad, but have her be like, the other guy couldn't have done it. You had to be the one to wrestle the pretty girl, because that does happen.
Yeah, and I don't think Rockhold actually has a girlfriend. So.
Oh no, he told Weidman, you can't fully train if you have a family.
Well, that girlfriend and family are different.
No, yeah, and I understand that, but I'm just saying his mentality seems to be like, if this is not the number one priority in your life, you will never be a world champ. Says the dude that got head kicked by Vitor Belfort and almost retired. Like, it's kind of interesting that he was like, I got knocked out coming in from Strikeforce.
I think he took that way too personal. Way too personal. He wasn't trying to say that it's a bad thing to have a family. It was a logical.
Yeah.
It was a logic, like, in it. So
says the single guy.
Yeah.
To the married guy.
Yeah. Let me tell you how your life is. But no, they both had very good points. Rockhold, from his standpoint, he wouldn't be able to put as much time into training and focus into it with a clear conscience if he the amount that he thinks that he could if he had a family. If he had kids that he had to tend to, he couldn't put the same focus on it. Where Weidman says because he has to provide for his family, they give him a different level of focus and they give him more motivation. They're both right. Like, they're not wrong. And then Weidman took that way personal. Like, he says I can't be a champion because I have a family. It's like, that's not what he said.
In that situation, I probably would have seen it the same way. But I do see it a lot more like Weidman. Like, when I moved to Spain and was like, I have a week to find a place to live. I was like, if I was alone, I'd go sneak into that abandoned hotel and just stay there for a couple of days. But it's like, now that my wife's here, I got to do whatever it takes to make sure we have a place to stay. But, I mean, nonetheless, I thought that was a very interesting conversation. And the thing,
but there's certain moves you also can't make, or you can't make them as easily if you have a family.
Yeah, I mean, it's much harder to pick up and leave. Matt Serra, I'm looking for a fight.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Or if you had like an opportunity, and you really wanted to do it, Chelsea has her career here. Not to get into your guys' thing. Yeah. I'm just saying in general.
You don't know my life.
There's other things that you would have to factor into as a single person. Would be like, oh no, I have this opportunity. Yep. I'm just going to go.
I can move to Denver and go train up there at Team High Elevation, and I don't have to worry about where my family is, or worry about Skyping my family once a night for 3 months, which a lot of these guys do.
They were both right. It's just from their perspective.
We're too unbiased here. We're like, yeah, no, we see both points, but not very different. Matt Serra, the thing that I just brought up, if you haven't seen the latest Looking for a Fight, not a lot of fighting. Did very questionable.
They were looking for one and they couldn't find it.
Well, they did, and they found the kid that knocked him out like first round, but he's got a very questionable past. Mookie Alexander actually wrote a great article on that on MMA Latest, or Bloody Elbow, I believe it was. You can go find it, about the kid's past and how sketchy it is, which is weird because he seemed like he was pretty well spoken when he was on the show. But super questionable past. But anyway, there's a part where Matt Serra, it's his daughter's birthday the next day, and they actually discuss where he's not used to traveling like Dana White is. And because obviously he's a trainer and all of this, he kind of picks his own hours and can go in and train when he needs to. And so he's usually with his daughter when she gets home from school and all of this. And so while he's traveling, he can't be with her. And he actually, Matt Serra, the loudmouth, New Jersey guy, actually gets really teared up about it. And it's very interesting to see. It's almost like they're trying to humanize Matt Serra more, even more than
they don't care about that at this point.
Well, not more than Dana White and the Tooth. I mean, they don't talk about their family. No, obviously, they don't have families, but they don't talk about their personal life. They don't show them get emotional, or they don't show them going to gyms and training kids, or you know what I mean. Like Matt Serra's, you're like the only.
Well, they brought Matt Serra in for that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. I never thought about it like that, but I guess that makes sense.
I mean, because he is that show at this point. He's the most interesting. Yeah. I mean, the Tooth is there for like
doing
be ridiculous.
Stupid stuff.
Like he's the reality TV portion of it. Matt Serra is the humanizing MMA fighting. You see that they're real people and that they're very good teachers. He's, to me, been the highlight of that show. I love it when he goes into gyms. I love it. I think it's amazing.
And points out like the perfect person to watch to learn this technique is Frankie Edgar. There's someone else before that too that he was like, this technique's really good, but I think he said like Cain Velasquez or something like that. Like, watch how he does it. It's actually a really good way of going about it.
And by the way, Nick the Tooth, it did not win a world championship. He won a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu championship.
And I think it was a blue belt.
Yeah, I don't think it was. Yeah,
that's what someone on Twitter said. He said it was a blue belt.
They framed that very weird or whatever in the beginning of the show, but it's very clear it was definitely not a world championship.
No,
and you can see that when he gets his ass beat by Matt Serra.
Exactly, and that's what I tweeted out. And luckily enough, everybody on Twitter that follows us in any way, shape, or form, when I tweet out a question because I don't know, there's always somebody that gets back with a response, and it's probably one of my favorite things about Twitter.
Yeah, call us out. We have no problem with it. Like last week when I said that Frankie Edgar went to a no contest with Gray Maynard. It was not a no contest. It was a tie. So, just say, hey, Karson, you're wrong, because we like to be called out on that. And we also just like having conversations with y'alls anyways.
Yeah. So let's get into, we got 3 weeks worth of fights.
A lot.
After 3 weeks of not having fights, man. I am so excited about this.
I'm excited about this fight a lot.
The Court McGee fight.
Well, the whole card, top to bottom, is amazing.
Court McGee, man, we're going to get him on the podcast. We know people that know him. We have funny stories about him from high school that I really would like to hear him talk about. But, I mean, yeah. Do you want to start from the bottom? and go up?
I don't think we need to go into the early prelims other than the Dodson Gamburian.
Betch Correia, Raquel Pennington?
No, the early prelims. We'll get into the... I'm saying we don't need to get into the early prelims except for Dodson.
I apologize. We're looking at two different things.
So you told me that Gamburian and Dodson actually aren't fighting at 135, which is interesting to me. I still think Dodson is going to destroy Manny Gamburian.
Manny Gamburian was on season 5 of The Ultimate Fighter with Nate Diaz, which is super interesting. I don't think he hasn't. He's looked decent. He's looked top 10 of the bantamweight division for a while. I'm about 90% sure they're moving up to 145. Once again, if we're incorrect, let us know. So he beat Scott Jorgensen, but Scott Jorgensen had a lot of issues as of late. He dropped quite a bit. He's
out of the UFC
now. Yeah, now he is. He beat Cody Gibson, and I'm not really familiar with Cody Gibson. He lost to Nick Lentz. He got a no contest with Dennis Seaver, overturned. That's when Dennis Seaver got popped. He beat Cole Miller, and he beat Machira Omegawa, and then this is when he actually dropped. So his last WEC fight was against Jose Aldo, and he lost. He lost to Tyson Griffin, who's now retired. He lost to Diego Nunes, and this is where I think he dropped to 135 because this is when it opened back up. He won 2 in a row. He lost to Dennis Seaver, who then got it switched to no contest. Lost to Nick Lentz, and then he's won 2 in a row. So do I think that he should be fighting John Dodson, some of that caliber? Probably not. But
Dodson's going to win. Dodson is like the fastest guy in MMA.
The only person Dodson can't beat is probably Dominic Cruz, and he might be able to, but he's very small, and Mighty Mouse. But other than that, I don't think there's anyone in...
TJ Dillashaw? You think... I would like to see that rematch again.
He beat Dillashaw at The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, I know. I want to see that rematch again really bad.
Yeah, and he beat him pretty... that's a great fight to set up at 155. If he beats Manny...
Why 155?
Sorry, apologies.
Have that bantamweight.
145. I don't mean 155.
Set it up 135. Bantamweight.
Is TJ Dillashaw's fighting it?
He should be 135.
Wait, whoa. These guys fought at 120. How much does Demetrius Johnson weigh?
125.
Oh, that's why I'm wrong. They're fighting at 135, not 125. Both of these guys I thought had fought at 125 at some point.
I can't believe
But Manny Gamburian maybe never did.
Fought Diaz. That's so crazy.
Yeah, no, that shows you how far he dropped because they were on the same. I'm
just talking more weight. That's crazy.
I don't know if they actually.
They were on the same Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, but
they had a big problem though, if I remember.
No, Manny Gamburian is Carl Parisian's cousin.
Yeah, that's
and Carl Parisian came in and was talking big.
Yep.
And Nick and Carl, I don't think, liked each other, and so he was kind of a jerk to Nate. And Nate was like, "I don't care who you are, I will fight you right here." And that was the issue. And I think that Carl Parisian at that time was at the top of his game, and then he got into all kinds of personal issues. But I think Nate Diaz could have Jordan beat Carl Parisian when he finally fell, you know?
I really want to see Dodson Dillashaw too, though.
Yeah, I think that's it at 135. For some random reason, I thought they were already fighting at 135, so that's why he was fighting at 145, and that's where the confusion came in. And that's why you were like, why are they fighting at 145? No, they're fighting at 135, which is a step up. In weight for them. Betch Correia versus Raquel Pennington. I don't see Betch Correia having any issue. I think they're doing this to get her back on the right track.
I really want Raquel Pennington to win.
Oh, of course. I think we all do, but she's 6-5. And I think Betch Correia, if anyone kind of Ronda Rousey'd, it's Betch, where she had an issue with losing. She disappeared for a long period of time, and it's really good to see her back. And I think she's going to come out, and poor Raquel, I think, is a slaughtering lamb. I think they're just like, okay, here you go, and I think she's going to get crushed.
I don't think so. I don't think it's that bad of a. I don't think she's going to get crushed. I don't know. I think that. I don't think that Betch Correia is going to still. I don't think she's going to starch her. I think she's going to win. But.
So she lost to Jessica Andrade. So she's gone back and forth, win loss. But her last loss was to Holly Holm, and then
did she win or lose last time?
She beat Jessica Andrade, who actually beat her from the first time. Well, yeah, according to her record, she'll lose based on her back and forth. But no, she's got a lot of submissions. So, but Betch is a Brazilian, so you're gonna have a hard time taking her down and submitting her. But you never know. They get submitted all the time.
She doesn't really do jiu-jitsu, does she? I thought she's more of a striker.
Yeah. And that's why she tried to strike with Rousey and got TKFO.
Oh, it took me a minute to understand what you were saying. I was like, FO. I wish they would change the stat to that.
TKFO. It is on Twitter. Cub Swanson coming back after 2 losses. He definitely needs a win, but Diaz is no slouch. Diaz is an up-and-comer. I think I'll pull his record up right now. So Swanson's lost his last 2 fights, but it was to Frankie Edgar and Max Holloway, top 4 contenders. Diaz is coming off of 2 wins, but one's to Darren Elkins, who didn't look too good in his last fight, and then Levin Mashadkavi, who I'm not sure exactly who that is, but he's lost also to Nick Lentz and Ricardo Lamas. So Cub Swanson should have what it takes in order to beat him. But
I want to see Cub back. I really like Cub Swanson. The other one that I'm really excited to have back is Court McGee.
Oh yeah,
hometown guy.
He's had a rough go of it too, though. Yeah. I mean,
a lot of injuries.
When he first came into the UFC, he looked like he was going to do really well. His loss to Constance Philippi really caused him issues, and then he lost to Ryan LaFleur. But Ryan LaFleur since then has looked really, really good.
What has Philippou done since that fight?
I don't think he's done much.
Yeah, I don't either.
And that's why, that was kind of like, that was going to push him up in the top 15, I think. And then he lost that fight. And then he lost another one to Nick Ring, and it was a really controversial decision. Philippou lost to Gerard Mousasi, but he lost May 16th, 2015, so he almost hasn't fought in a year. Lorenzo Larkin, he lost to Francis Carmou and lost to Luke Rockhold. He beat Tim Bush. So, I mean, he was doing well, and then they started putting him against tougher competition, and he kind of folded against that tougher competition.
Ponzinibbio's name is Gente Boa. Is that just Boa people?
It might be a boa constructor, but yeah.
Gente Boa. I hope it's just Boa person.
Just good, or just good person. Bon gente. My throat's a little dry. I should have brought some water up with me. But no, yeah. So let's keep moving.
It's Portuguese?
Yeah.
Why does he speak Portuguese? He's from Argentina.
Let's get into the main card. The main couple fights. Obviously, as we know, Khabib was headlining this against Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson had to pull out because he had lung issues that could have eventually caused his death, right? I mean, it was pretty serious.
Yeah, he had blood clots in his lungs.
So now we've got Daryl Horcher. How far down has this fallen? It's the 3rd fight now on the main card?
Yeah.
Rather than the 2nd? Because Sherdog's got it as a 2nd, but I think it would fall below Lyoto Machida, Dan Henderson.
It's absolutely going to.
We talked about this 10 years ago. This card would have been like a pay-per-view. Everyone would have been throwing down $50 for it with Lyoto Machida, Dan Henderson, and Rashad Evans, Glover Teixeira. It's interesting now that it's a free card, which kind of makes sense too, because they're going to get a lot of views, because the long-term viewers that only recognize names are going to, I think, tune into this, where the hardcore fans kind of see that these guys have kind of gone out. But you do have Michael Chiesa versus Benel Dariush.
They should get that. Who is the guy on today that had the Amish beard?
Oh, yeah. His difficult his name's Polish. It's too difficult to.
We got to get him on this card. This would be the all Polish or the all Amish looking card.
Yeah.
Court, Nurmagomedov, Chiesa, who just shave his damn head.
But I'm excited for that fight. Tisha Torres and Thug Rose. I would like to see Thug Rose win. I mean, it's weird to see her record be 4-2. I didn't know Tisha Torres was undefeated.
I want Pat Barry back. Can we get?
He's in the UFC game, so who knows if he's on contract still?
Can
and he might end up coming back.
Pat on the same card?
They're dating, right? Is that why?
I think married.
Are they married?
I think so.
I like her. It's weird that she's 4-2 because she's done well lately.
Mm-hmm.
Tisha Torres, I've always kind of liked. I see Torres winning that. It might not happen if Rose has really stepped up her game. If she can do what she did to Paige Van Zandt, I think Tisha Torres is built a little bit thicker, so it's going to be harder for Rose to kind of toss her around. But it's a good fight. Lyoto Machida, Dan Henderson, who you got?
Lyoto Machida.
And why is that?
Because Dan Henderson, this is his last fight, and he's old as hell, and he His chin's gone.
He's been knocked out like the last 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like Dan Henderson a lot. I wish
he's not going to get his right hand. He's not going to get his H bomb, as it were, on Machida.
No, he's too elusive. You think he just runs at him and goes for it, or do you think he plays it safe?
He's not an idiot. He'll play it safe still. He'll try to load it up.
So Daryl Horcher, for those that don't know, he's an RFA. Fought in some other places. I think he might have been in Bellator. Maybe not. He's actually, look up some of his highlights. He's a guy fighting Khabib. He's no slouch. I mean, I don't imagine him really, coming in and posing a huge
really
problem.
Upsetting. Like after all the fights that were billed to go against Nurmagomedov after Tony Ferguson pulled out, I was getting so jazzed. Like Cerrone versus Khabib. I was really jazzed. Horcher, I mean, I think it actually, the division should be more scared that he's going up against Horcher and shaking off the ring rust, exactly like I think people should be worried about John Jones with the same problem. I'm a little bummed about that, but I mean, if Horcher comes in and has a good showing, who knows? I mean, it changes the division a lot.
The weird part about Horcher's record is that he lost. The weirdest part about this is he won 2 fights in Bellator, probably on undercards, on local cards, or whatever it might have been. He lost 1 by decision, and they cut him. And then he had to go back on the local circuit, and he's won 5 in a row on the local circuit. Alex Ritchie, if this is who I think it is, was actually on The Ultimate Fighter and got to fight. No, that's not him. Never mind. Oh, that was Ricci, but it's not. And then, of course, last but not least, Rashad Evans, Glover Teixeira. Who you got?
Evans. He's coming back.
Oh.
Evans is coming back.
He lost the little nog.
Shut up. He's going to win.
Oh, my goodness. He hasn't looked good. I like him. I've liked him since he was on the freaking Tough 2 when other people thought he talked too much and danced too much. He lost to Ryan Bader. I don't remember him looking super good against Ryan Bader. He beat Dan Henderson. He beat Chael Sonnen. He lost to John Jones, which made sense. So he might be. I mean, Ryan Bader is no slouch. And his last 2 losses were to John Jones. And after John Jones, he didn't fight for almost a year. And then he lost to Lil Nog.
I think that he needs to be done. Like, he's old. And I think the division's past him. But I would love for him to start stringing some together and make another run at it.
But, I mean, look at this. He beat Michael Bisping. He beat Chuck Liddell. He beat Forrest Griffin.
Why did he never go to 185?
He lost to Lyoto Machida. He beat Thiago Silva, who at that time was a monster.
He's not going to do it.
Quentin Jackson, Tito Ortiz, Phil Davis. I mean, he's beat the who's who, but not in their heyday. And then he lost to John Jones, and I remember watching that in Vegas, 2012.
That's when we lived in Vegas.
That's a long time ago. He hasn't fought since 2000. He fought in 2015, but between Chael Sonnen and Ryan Bader, he had 2 years. So he could come back. He could get fixed. And he said that watching Dominic Cruz come back and get the belt back gave him a lot of confidence that he'd actually be able to go do it. I mean, he said he looked at Dominic Cruz a lot to give him motivation to be able to get there again.
I hope so. I like Rashad.
I think Glover takes it. I really like Glover as well. I think Glover, the only losses he has are to really, really top competition.
John Jones.
Phil Davis as well out-wrestled him. But he beat OSP, Patrick Cummins. He shouldn't have really fought, but it is what it is. Ryan Bader, James Tahuna, Quentin Jackson, Fabiano Maldonado, Kyle Kingsbury. I mean, he's also beat the newer who's who. But it will be interesting to see him fight Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans comes back. He's, a couple fights away from a title fight, which I think is a little bit more exciting than Glover, even though I love him to death. I don't think he stands a chance against John Jones, and I think winning, unless he wins a lot in a row, isn't going to help him get another title shot. So, I mean, it kind of sucks, but that's kind of how I see it.
I want Rashad to win, but I would like him just to out-wrestle Glover, get him on the ground, and just do ground and pound.
So who's the next fighter to pull out of a fight on any of the upcoming cards that are already signed? Over Marlowski. I mean, main people, the people I actually care about. Let's see what we got here. So no one's going to pull out a Jones OSP, I don't believe. there was somebody today I was like, if they actually make it to the fight, Arlovsky over him will be fine. Stefan Struve, Antonio Nogueira, or Bigfoot will be fine. Verdun, who was I
Josh
thinking?
Thompson, because he's in deep water.
You think 198 makes it?
He's going to get his ass
You
beat.
think everybody makes it to 198? Josh Thompson's in Bellator now.
Oh, not Josh Thompson. Stephen Thompson.
No. There was somebody I was thinking that was like, there's a good chance of them actually pulling out of this fight. And I think it was on the OSP fight. I think I was thinking Dominic Cruz might get injured again. That's Cruz, the one I was thinking.
I don't think so. I think Cruz is fine.
I hope. I don't want to see him get injured, but if anyone were to pull out, that's who I could see it being. DJ's never been injured, or Anthony Pettis or Edson Barbosa. I could see Anthony Pettis pulling out too, getting injured. I hope it's not, but for sake of conversation, those are the two people I could see pulling out of a fight.
I don't know. Looking at it, I'm just so depressed with all the pullouts that have happened.
That have occurred.
Just trying to get pregnant here.
Hey, it happens, especially with them Brazilians. But I guess Cormier ruined that streak. But that's AKA, man. All those guys get injured. It's Khabib could still get injured in the next week. You never know. That's it, though. We got nothing else to talk about for the week. What are you thinking?
Done.
These are now going to be going on YouTube. So if you're listening on Buzzsprout or iTunes and you decide, hey, I'd rather watch these dudes stare at me on YouTube, check it out there. One Speed MMA, of course. iTunes, Buzzsprout, all of that. Make sure you subscribe on or follow us on Twitter. Join in the conversation. We're always talking about something. Corey, shout out to you. Sorry that we included you in so many random conversations. And that's it, guys. Thanks again for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Bye-bye. Bye.